Hello, welcome to another episode of the Rich Woman Rising podcast. I'm your host, Eloise Tompkins, and I am obsessed with helping women entrepreneurs make more money in their business by reprogramming their relationship with money. I love being able to help you stop hustling harder and being able to take control of your finances by feeling calm and confident around money. Because I think a lot of the time we have so much fear around money, and it doesn't need to be that way because actually the fear gets in our way. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about today in today's episode, because I think that as entrepreneurs, we can actually have a lot of fear around our success. And it can actually feel really fucking terrifying to think about how much we've achieved, both at our level where we're at now, and also to think about where we want to go. Because I don't know about you, but when I think about where I want to go, like there's a part of me that's really, really excited. And there's also this other part that's like, oh my God, are you serious? Do you seriously want to do that? And I get it because, you know, fear is this motivator that keeps us playing safe, playing small, and achieving success can come with quite a lot of what we perceive to be negative consequences in many ways. And it can be really scary to think about what that might look like. And I want to unpack that a little and talk about some of the common themes that I see with women who are aiming for up leveling, who do want to break through their current level of success and break through to that next ceiling, that next level, that next layer. Because in order to get to that next layer, you need to know what is holding you back, why you are feeling so scared of this level of success that you're at now. And because that's going to be preventing you from where you want to go next. And I speak about the inner millionaire. We need to tap into her and what she needs so that you can embody her so that she can take you forward. One of the things that I see is this real fear of uncertainty, because we don't know in our business what's going to happen next. We, as much as we would like to be able to predict it, we can't. We can try, we can forecast, we can assume, we can make assessments on data. However, we actually don't know what that next level of success is actually going to look like from a real practical perspective, because we haven't been there yet. You haven't been there. You haven't been at that next level of success yet. So, how do you know what it's going to be like? And when you venture past your comfort zone, that can feel really scary for your body, because your body likes things to stay comfortable and familiar because that's safe. And as you start stretching those boundaries, your body and your nervous system start to say, oh, what are you doing? And the more that you push up against that, the more noisy it gets. And the more it tells you, no, don't do that. And that can be where you might start to find yourself unconsciously sabotaging the success that you say that you want. And that's not your fault. It's like your nervous system protecting you. It's your body and your mind protecting you, because somewhere in there, there's some kind of emotion, a memory, sensation going on that says pushing to that next level is dangerous. It's scary. And we need to be able to work within our body. We need to be able to understand what our body is trying to communicate to us so that we can stretch to that next level safely. And I kind of liken it sometimes to I've spoken to some of my clients about this, where they'll come in and they'll say, oh, I'm ready for that next level of success, Ellie. I'm like, great. And they're like, let's go. And I'm like, okay, cool. But hang on a minute. Let's not throw the baby into the deep end of the pool when the baby can't swim. Let's just slow this down a little, and let's kind of put the baby in the water and see how the baby responds. And then let's kind of get it in the shallow end where it can stand, its feet can touch the floor. And then let's take it a little bit deeper and let's teach it how to lay on its back and float. Let's teach it how to paddle. Once the baby knows how to swim, sure, then let's chuck it in the deep end and it will be able to come out unscathed. But we don't start there. And so that's kind of like your nervous system. We are not going to throw you into a level of success that your nervous system is not going to be able to tolerate, because it's not going to be able to sustain that. And I mean, I'm making a speculation here, and I don't know whether this is completely true, but I look at child stars, like Hollywood child stars and everything that they were exposed to from such a young age. And they go from child star to adult. And that is just such a transition point for them that it can become really difficult for them to manage that. And there can often be substance abuse in child stars transitioning to adulthood. And you see them often go through a period of what appears to be rebellion, because they're trying to discover themselves. They're trying to figure out who they are, because they've had this little container of certainty as to what things have looked like. And then they've been propelled into this completely new environment. And they're like, whoa, what the fuck? It's too much, too fast. And we don't want to do that. So unfamiliar can be really good. But at the same time, if we jump into the unfamiliar too fast, it can actually be just chaos for our nervous system. And we really don't want that. I don't want that for you. I want to be able to have you take those steps to be able to really develop yourself so that you can cope when you move to that next level of uncertainty. And that requires pushing yourself to the edge, maybe a little bit beyond, but not pushing yourself so far at the outside of the edge that all you're feeling is like fucking terrified the entire time, and like just constantly on edge, because like that is a clear sign that your nervous system is out of whack and it's not regulated. And we need to find ways to help you manage that success, which is where the reprogramming comes in, because that helps to be able to get those emotions in check and helps shift some of those emotions so that they stop feeling so, I guess, intense, and so that they stop feeling like they're the ones that are running the show. Another thing that I see when women are climbing up that ladder of success and they're getting more visible in their field, I guess, as their achievements grow and they are really doing great things in their business. They might be hitting consistent high revenue months and almost contemplating wanting to scale, but then they start doubting themselves. And it's almost like, well, what's going on here? Because you have created this really successful business and now you've kind of hit these consistent 20K, 30K, whatever months. And now you're starting to doubt yourself and you're wanting to achieve and break through to that next level of success. But imposter syndrome really starts to kick in. And what can actually happen is the more success you achieve, it's really interesting how we can then really worry that we're going to be caught out as a fraud. And that can become even more pronounced as our achievements grow, which is kind of funny because, I mean, you wouldn't get to where you were if you weren't doing something right. However, it's kind of that self-concept that we hold of ourselves, how we see ourselves, because when we have a business, we have to be visible in some way, shape, or form, because whether it's our own personal brand ourselves or whether it's just our business, our product in general that we need to put out into the world, we need to market that. But with that increased visibility, there's almost that sense of responsibility. And when we kind of have some of these fears around being responsible with money, or when we might not be generating the type of money that we want in our business. And I see this quite a lot where some of my clients who have multiple seven-figure businesses and they've got such a high level of revenue coming in, but aren't paying themselves a decent salary because, for lots of reasons, there's lots of reasons why they do that. But there's this sense of, I've got this outwardly successful business and I'm not taking home a salary. People are seeing me as successful. That surely they're going to find out that I just don't have my financial shit together. And that can be really difficult because they then feel like there's more at stake. They feel like if they then don't maintain their current level of success, that they're going to be seen to be a fraud, an imposter. And what I also see here is a lot of comparison to others, to people who, in their mind, they perceive as being more deserving, which is interesting because comparison is such a killer for your business. Like, it is something that is really going to hold you back from achieving success, because honestly, there's room for everyone. There is really, and this is something that really took me a long time to kind of come to terms with, that there is room for everyone. But it was actually driving past a whole bunch of pizza shops when I first started my business, and realizing that in a 20-minute drive, I would pass, like, I kid you not, 10 different pizza shops. And I was looking around at all these pizza shops thinking, how do they stay in business? Like, there's 10. Who, like, how do they stay in business? Because, like, surely they don't need 10 pizza shops in a 20-minute radius. And then I realized the pizza shops had different specialties. One was wood-fired pizzas. One was your, like, old school, I don't know what they're called, like old school type pizza, like cheap pizzas that just slap on all of the toppings, and it's like greasy and hits the spot after a few nighttime alcohol drinks at a club. Not that I would know about those. And then there's other pizza shops that were more dine-in style. So it was an experience. You'd go in and you'd eat in there. Others were like fast food style pizza shops where you would be able to just go in, and they'd been around for such a long time that it was just easy. They'd had a big brand behind them. So I realized that each of these pizza shops, even though they all had the same thing, theoretically, they were all offering a unique take on it. And I was like, oh, so that really helped me to kind of stop my own comparison, because there are going to be people out there who are doing exactly the same thing as you, but they're going to have a different audience. They're going to have a different price point. And I mean, if you're trying to deliver premium services and you're comparing yourself to competitors who are charging like Target Kmart prices, then you're not serving the same people. You are offering something different. And when we compare, we kind of do it in one of two ways. We either compare upwards, so we look up to people who are doing better than us, or we look down and we compare ourselves downwards to people who are doing it, in our perspective, worse than us. More often than not, we will compare ourselves upwards. So we will look to people who are doing better than us, and we don't look down. We don't turn around and kind of look at people who are perhaps not at the same place that we are. We don't do that. And we hold these biases in how we view things that are happening in our life and in our world and our business. And we do that because we like to compare where we are socially. And that's a very normal thing for us to want to do. However, when we get stuck in looking at people who are, in our eyes, further along or doing things better or have more success, turn around and at least look at the people who are behind you, because I guarantee they're there. I see them. I see them in my industry. I see them in lots of different ways. And sometimes those people have been in business for longer than me. And sometimes those people are just starting out. And at the end of the day, there are going to be people at all areas of the spectrum. And focusing on that is, again, if we think about it from that nervous system perspective, you're just going to be holding on to a lot of stress that is going to stop you from actually achieving that next level of success that you want. And it's going to stop you from achieving financial freedom, because your brain is taken up by all of this space worrying about what's going on for other people. So it can be really helpful to just kind of, and I know it's easier said than done to like let it go, but being mindful of that, being mindful that our brains are wired to want to look for people who seem to be doing better than us. But if we can kind of recognize that maybe we are maybe just where we're at, and there are going to be people on either side of that, can be helpful to get a little bit of a reality check so that you're not constantly stuck in feeling like you have to pull yourself along further, to let go of some of that comparison. I often see as well, and this kind of links on to the previous example of imposter syndrome and feeling like we need to maintain that level of success. There can also be this pressure to surpass our existing level of success because, and this is a nervous system thing as well, right? Like it all comes down to the nervous system. You'll hear me talk about that a lot in this episode. Our nervous system sets the scene on what we feel is comfortable or what we feel is stretchy. And we generally like to stay with what's safe. However, once we expand that, and once we expand our sense of what is safe, then it allows us to kind of push against that a little bit further. And sometimes when we tell ourselves that we want something that pushes ourselves so far out of that sense of safety, nervous system safety, it can actually be a way to self-sabotage. I think I'm digressing a bit, but I'll share this story with you. When I first started my business, I remember saying to myself, like, that's it. I'm going to create a 7-figure business and that's what I want to do. And I became so focused and so hell-bent on the fact that my business was going to be a 7-figure business that I kind of forgot that there were going to be like 1,000,001 steps between where I currently was, which was 0, because I hadn't started my business, to 7 figures. And I laugh about it now because I realized that at the time, it was my way of avoiding. If I could say that I wanted that goal, it just felt so stretchy for my nervous system because I was like, $1,000,000, as if I can do that, that I didn't actually take the action that I needed to get me those micro actions that I needed to get me to that goal. And when you're able to kind of pin that, or not pin, pull that goal back and make it a bit more manageable, then you can start to achieve smaller goals, which then widen how much your nervous system is able to tolerate, which then allows you to achieve more and more and more of your goals until you reach that 7-figure mark, right? And so when there comes that pressure to surpass your previous successes, one of the reasons that that happens is because your nervous system gets comfortable with our original level of success. For example, going back to my business, 7 figures, okay, sure, great. Maybe park that, right? And then come back to, okay, well, how about 5K consistently a month? Like, how about we focus on that? And when you hit that goal, you then want to jump to the next one. It's like, okay, well, 10K months, how do I do that? 20K months. Okay, well, how do I do that? And I was talking to a friend recently where we were talking about when we were in our 20s and making $1,000 a week was really cool because it was like, oh my gosh, like that's $52,000 a year. Like, how amazing is that? We'd never had that much money before. So to us, it was kind of like a huge deal. To now running our own businesses, my friend was telling me how she had been making $30,000 months in her freelance business. And at the same time was also like, okay, now what? I've hit that. Now what? Because her nervous system had stretched to that level of money and was now able to extend on it. The problem is, though, we can sometimes feel a lot of fear if we don't maintain that level of success because there's that drive to continue achieving. And it's almost as though there's this real sense to prove yourself as worthy of achieving the success that you've achieved. And it's like, well, okay, well, I've hit that $30,000 now. So now I need to prove myself that I'm worthy of achieving more than that. I'm worthy of $40,000. Problem with that, and the reason that this then becomes a disadvantage for success is because worthiness does not come from how much success you achieve. Worthiness does not come from your achievements. It does not come from money. It comes from within. And if we are then trying so hard to maintain a level of success and continuously push above and beyond that every single time, then we can fear not living up to our expectations, and that can become paralyzing. It can actually make us like almost freeze and be like, whoa, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I want to do. Or we can kind of become workaholics and just work, and hustle harder. Neither of those things sound particularly pleasant. And we can then reprogram our relationship with money. We can reprogram our relationship with success and achievement so that, yeah, sure, I'm all about helping people make more money in their business. Absolutely. But at the same time, I don't want that to come at the cost of your own well-being either. Because a lot of times I see people who are making money in their business, but they're exhausted because they're working 24/7. When if they reprogram their relationship with money, they could add additional revenue streams in their business and take a back seat and let their money work for them. Or they could actually delegate in their business and not feel like they had to micromanage everything because they felt that was the only way to get shit done in their business to a standard that was actually going to keep making money, because they were taking on all of the pressure of success in their business as their own and weren't letting their team do their job, which is, quite frankly, it's not helpful and is just going to keep you stuck. It's going to keep you hating your business. And I don't think you started your business for those reasons. So it's time to really shift some of those fears so that you can, I don't know, enjoy the money and the wealth that you've created and actually allow yourself to enjoy the success and reap the rewards of the hard work that you have created in your business. And the other thing, and the final thing that I'm going to talk about in this episode in regards to why success can actually be really fucking terrifying, is this real fear about everything that you have worked so hard for, of losing it. And I will have clients who will tell me, like, Ellie, I have nightmares about the fact that I'm going to lose it all. I'm so worried that everything I've worked so hard for is just going to come crashing down. And this is a huge money block that arises because the more that your business grows, the more revenue, the more money that you're dealing with, the more it feels like the stakes are higher and the potential fall to the ground seems a lot more significant. And it's interesting because there's this real sense that you've built this business up, but everything's going to disappear overnight. And a lot of the times, the reason that the women that I work with have this particular fear in their business, the fear of success, is because in their childhood, they have had an experience where they've seen their parents lose money or lose the lifestyle, or something has significantly changed in their childlike mind overnight. It feels to them like it's happened suddenly. In reality, though, what has happened is it's been something that their parents knew about for a while and maybe didn't communicate to the child, or maybe they did, but you don't know until you're in that situation, particularly as a child. We look back on things with kind of an adult mind, but in our childlike mind, we don't have the ability to rationalize. We don't have the ability to think clearly and make logical, rational decisions. It's just not in the capabilities of a child, particularly between the ages of 0 to 7. So it makes sense that we have this real fear that things are just going to suddenly, dramatically change in our business overnight. And we are not going to be able to get any more clients, and our income is going to shrivel up, and all of the money that we've created is going to disappear. And there's fears that my clients have that they're going to go bankrupt. There's no evidence at all to support those fears. But this is where our mind can go when we think about our success. And what this then leads to is this real sense of not wanting to take risks in the business. And if you're an impulsive spender, that can be really difficult, because then you find yourself, feeling these really stressful, overwhelming feelings, and whoop, whip out the credit card, add to cart, and then next minute you got a new pair of shoes or a diamond ring, or heaven forbid, like a brand new car, now paying off like these monthly payments for the next 7 years. And those are all experiences that happen. I'm not making these up, because when we have this relationship with success where there's fear, and the way that we mitigate that fear is through spending, it becomes this like seesaw of like, whoa, and it can feel really, really unsettling. And that then often leads to like overworking, this sense of, well, if I just work harder and make more money, then I'm not going to lose it all. And again, talking about micromanaging, there's that sense of, well, if I take over the reins, then I'm really going to make sure that nothing bad happens. The problem is that there's no mental space to be able to take opportunities or even see opportunities that are going to help grow your business even further. And that's actually what you're wanting, right? Like, you are wanting more financial freedom or financial stability. So it's super important to be able to recognize that fear of success actually, whilst can be terrifying, is actually something that is holding you back from reaching that next level of success. And it's actually holding you back from achieving financial freedom in your business. To develop that financial freedom, we need to let go of fearing success. And that's exactly one of the things that reprogramming your relationship with money does. And I mean, if you want to hear more about how you can reprogram your fear, I've actually created a secret podcast that goes into that in a lot more detail. It's a 4-episode podcast series where you can learn all about how to shift those money fears so that you can grow your business to 7 figures and beyond without hustling harder, without working longer hours. And I'm going to pop that in the show notes for you if you do want to listen along to that podcast, because it just goes into so much of the psychology behind it, more than what we've gone into in this episode today. And I want to come back to, though, this idea of or the 4 ways that success can, or fearing success gets in our way. And that's the unfamiliarity and not knowing. And gosh, I wish I had a crystal ball. Actually, no, I don't. Like, can you imagine if you had a crystal ball and could see the exact future of your life and your business? Like, what would that be like for you? And I want you to really think about it. Like, think about the benefits of having a crystal ball where you could see absolutely everything. And I'm talking everything. I'm not talking about cherry picking the bits that you want to see. If you had a crystal ball, you can't cherry pick. You would see it all. You would see the good, the bad, the ugly, the incredible, the death of yourself. Like, you would see it all. Would you still want that crystal ball if you could see everything and you knew exactly what was going to happen in your life? Like, every single thing, second by second, minute by minute, you already knew. It was already there. It was already laid out. You knew it all. I don't know about you, but I would be bored. I would be like, well, okay, well, if I already know what's going to happen in my life, why do I need to live it? Like, I already know what's going to happen. I've seen the end of the movie 10 times. Like, what's the point? And if you had a crystal ball, I want to caveat that, no, you couldn't change anything. So you've got a crystal ball, you can see absolutely everything, and you can't change a thing. There is no ability to change anything. What you see in that crystal ball is it. Would you still want it? I want you to think about that. Sorry, that was a little tangent that I went down. But I love that question. I love having people think about whether they would still want that crystal ball, or whether there is an element to uncertainty that is actually helpful in some way. The second thing is that imposter syndrome, which can intensify as your achievements grow because you feel like you're going to be caught out as a fraud. And also linking in with that is this sense of comparison, but only one way. We only compare upwards. Also, the pressure to maintain or even exceed the previous successes that we've had. And finally, fearing that we're going to lose it all. And underneath all of that, the key thing, and the key thing that I want you to take away, is that our nervous system really likes to keep us safe. And that's the reason why all of these things are getting in the way between you and your success. And that's why you are so fucking scared of success, because your nervous system is trying to keep you in that safe little box that you have been playing in so far. And if you want to stop fearing success and you want to break through to that next level, then you know what? You need to learn how to get your nervous system on board so that it can stretch you a little bit further so that you can step out and reach that next level of success without being so fucking scared of it. I hope that all has been helpful to kind of understand how all of that ties together and why you might be feeling so scared. Because I think a lot of the time we talk about things being hard or scary and unfamiliar. And I want to shed some light on why, because I think that if we can start to understand why, then we can start to make changes, because it doesn't have to be this way. It actually doesn't. We don't have to be terrified of our success. We can have success and actually feel really confident. We can feel really good. We can feel really calm. Doesn't mean that we're never going to experience anxiety or fear again. No, but it does mean that our nervous system is going to be able to handle it. And that, I think, is really, really important, especially if you want to reach these heights of success that you're not at yet, but you can see, your inner millionaire can see in her future. And if you do want to unpack that even further and you do want to understand how money fears can get in our way of growing our business to 7 figures and beyond, then you will love the Secret podcast, because that really dives into all of this in so much more depth. And over 4 episodes, it talks about what your inner millionaire is and how to tune into her. It talks about the brain, and it talks about how fear can get in the way of us growing in our business. It also talks about how to expand on your millionaire mindset as well. And I'm missing an episode in there, but there's another awesome episode in there as well. So have a look and subscribe to that if that sounds like a podcast that you would like to listen to expand your understanding of this even further. But that's all from me for today. I hope this was helpful, and I cannot wait to share another episode with you next week. So until then, take care of yourself and regulate that nervous system, and I'll chat with you next week.